What up, what up, what up? It is your host Uriah on the hub of fantasy football with my co-host today is going to be Michael Foley.
He means Foley. I don't know who Michael is, but hello.
And also, before I get going any further, we are doing this on a phone call, so I'm not exactly sure how the quality is going to be. So, our other guest for today will be Mr. Joe Buck yourself. Joe, how you doing?
What's up? Hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing, Uriah?
Oh man, we're doing great. Happy to finally get this together and get you on here.
Oh yeah, it seemed like it was a long time in the making, but we're finally here, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So Foley, do you want to go into our NFC or do you want to just go in and get him started right off the bat?
Yeah, well, let's not leave it unsaid that Joe is the champion, and that's why we've been wanting to have him on this podcast for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And you know, Uriah was always really, really down on Joe's team. I said from day one that I thought he put together a hell of a squad, and so I was not surprised to see him bring home the trophy.
Well, Michael's coming from you from the 1800s on his phone, so that's a joke. Anyway, so yes, I will be the first one to admit, Joe, I hated your team. And it
Yeah.
wasn't. All I can say is like when we drafted, I wasn't like Joe's gonna win. And I'll be
Right.
honest. So I'll start off, and now I'm not dogging your team, but like Foley, and he has his metrics. On paper, your draft didn't look great to me.
No,
Um,
no.
how did you feel about your draft once we finished?
Well, I felt a lot better about it than you guys did, but um, like right after the draft, I was feeling pretty good. I felt like I had drafted better than I had in the 2 years past, but I was looking at it, and I was like, man, I've got so many question marks here, rookies. I will be the first to admit I completely screwed up my first pick. Like it was awful. Okay, C.J. Stroud. Yeah, I'll admit that was terrible.
So
Um,
Joe, before we get started, I'll just come out and I'll say your first round you took C.J. Stroud.
right.
Second was Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, Malik Neighbors, Kenneth Walker, Keenan Allen, Baker Mayfield, Taysom Hill. So
Mm.
so so before we get going into that, what did you when you started? How how would you say our league is? Is it a hard league or is it easy to you?
Oh, it's definitely harder than any league I've played because I'm just,
I would
usually in a one quarterback league, and so I'm by far not, some fantasy football aficionado, obviously, but yeah, it's way harder. I mean, the two quarterbacks make it way harder.
yes. So let's see. So when you went into the draft, were you like, let me draft yada yada yada? What did you want before you
Well,
started?
okay, I was hoping to get Josh Allen as my first pick. Uh,
Ah,
and of course, Foley picked ahead of me, so I was unable to do that. Then I immediately my fallback was Patrick Mahomes, which would not have been much better
Yes.
than CJ this year. Uh, and then I got to the spot. I was like, okay, do I go Lamar or CJ or Jalen Hurts? And I was like, I just don't trust Jalen Hurts. I think he'll probably be hurt, and so will Lamar. And I'm just like, I thought CJ was going to have another great year. He had a great rookie season. I thought he was going to be even better, adding Diggs and more weapons like Joe Mixon, and I just felt good about him this year. But obviously, he had that sophomore slump and messed that up. But that goes to show you can still mess up your first pick and still win. So
Absolutely. And did you let's see, you got anything, Michael? Not really.
no, I mean, I thought that the best thing Joe did was, like at draft time, I said this, as much as I will admit I dogged a couple picks, I think that where Joe did very well was copying Foley. He went with a lot of rookies, which I think is something that he watched me do over the last couple of years. And he took Baker Mayfield.
I'm sorry, I'm just
He
laughing.
watched me take Baker last year. So he really did follow the Foley's playbook. I quibbled about the individual selections, and a lot of them ended up being right. I definitely thought Stroud was a bad pick. Like, I wasn't sure about Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr. That turned out to be great. But it really was. He went high volume on rookies, especially wide receiver, and he took Baker Mayfield at great value. I said many times on this podcast, I was certain I was going to get Baker again. I was certain it was going to be a good year for him. I just thought I could get him one round later. So I was pretty upset.
So Joe, are you on the same level as Foley and his Foleyatics?
I don't follow the analytics like Foley does, but I always sit by him at draft time. And, I do have a high opinion of him. I do think he knows a good bit about fantasy football. So I do try to mimic him a little bit, maybe.
So I'm just saying. So when you're sitting beside him at draft, are you like when we get like in our late rounds? Are you like slowly like peeking, like at a test at school? You're just kind of okay. Adonai Mitchell. Okay, Foley has him pretty high.
Maybe looking at his and Evan's sheets a little bit, but like when it comes to late rounds, and I haven't been doing this right. Like I don't go into the draft, with players ranked and all like Foley and Evan and everybody else does. Like I'm just winging it the whole time. And, I just have certain guys that I like to take the risks on in the late rounds. Like one of the risks was like Rashid Shaheed. He had a really good year up until he got hurt. I take some risk, I guess, with the later round picks.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Nobody can cheat off of my sheet because
right.
nobody can read my handwriting.
I was fixing to say your handwriting is terrible.
That is very true. Yeah, that's true.
That's
very true.
Secret. That's one of my secrets to success.
Success is a strong word, but we'll move on. Joe, after going, which was crazy, you went 5-0 the first 5 weeks. How did you feel about your team the first couple of weeks?
I still kind of felt like it was definitely going to go downhill quick. I could see I didn't have much depth, obviously. I knew I had to make moves like later in the season. But I was excited to get out to that 5-0 start, and that definitely helped me a lot. But, I saw the depth quickly wearing thin.
So who was, I don't know who you picked up. Who was somebody you picked up on free agency that helped you? Did you have anybody?
I'm trying to remember. I did have Jalen McMillan in the later in the season, which really helped me.
Yes.
From Tampa Bay, the receiver, he really helped me. I picked up the Vikings D, which was strong all year, for the most part. Not all year, but for the most part.
Yeah.
Let's see. I know I traded for Tony Pollard. I traded Malik Neighbors for Tony Pollard and Evan Ingram, which everybody thought was a very terrible trade. But after that, Malik his production fell off quite a bit.
It wasn't as bad as some other trades, but we're not going to get into those.
Yeah, you're right. That other trade was really bad. The side that was getting Christian McCaffrey really would have suffered if that trade had been allowed to go through.
Anyway, we can't go on ifs and wishes. We just know it was a bad trade, Michael. It's okay.
Poor Alex.
I apologized for my part in that, by the way, Foley.
Well,
Listen, I do want to thank Joe. Joe trade. I mean, look, it turned out to be a win-win, but my favorite trade that was allowed of the year was Xavier Leggett for Drake May, and I think that worked out okay for both sides.
Yeah,
Pretty
it
much
did.
side
It
for
did.
us.
So, would you going into the draft, Joe? Would you do okay? Not just the draft, the whole year. Would you do anything different than what you did?
I wouldn't have picked C.J. Stroud number one. I know that. I would have. I would have liked to have gotten some more receiver depth for sure, and I can't remember, who was available at the times that I was picked outside of like maybe the first round, really. But yeah, there's a few things I probably would, but then again, I may not be sitting here with a championship. But I know I would be if I would have took a different quarterback, number one. So I would have went with Burrow. I
Yeah.
wish I would have. Yeah.
Okay. So this year, will you go into because this year or last year, I guess I could say, I went in with I was just trying a different thing. So I went in with no plans, I didn't know anything. I hadn't been paying attention for like a month, and I just wanted to see how I would do. So saying that, next year, will you go in the same way?
Probably.
If it works once, do it again, right?
You're right. If it ain't,
It ain't
that's
broke.
right. And I generally don't like to overthink things. When I overthink things too much, I start to really mess up a little bit. So I'm just gonna go into it, have fun, and once again, I'm winging it like I do until it doesn't work.
Got you. So let's see. So Foley. So how this year will you go in with your Foley addicts? Will you still be drafting the way you are?
Yes, Folalytics will never go away. There's always some tweaks on the model to be done, and I will get into that in the coming, probably over the summer. We'll tweak the process a little bit, but the core principles never go away. The core principles are why I am the Mike Tomlin of this league.
Are you though?
Don't see me going under 500.
Until you do. So anyway, so I'll say this, Joe. Is there anybody, as far as rookies, is there anybody that you would like to spill the tea on that you like this year?
As far as rookies,
Yeah, because this year we are going to be a keeper league, and we hadn't ironed out those details, but I'm kind of interested in what everybody is thinking. So you don't have to tell me
You're
that
talking
part. I'm just talking about
rookies from this past year or
coming up.
rookies this year?
Coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, in the draft. I haven't studied the draft like I usually do.
Didn't you say
Too much.
Didn't you say you
But
liked
I'm big on
Milrow?
Cam. I do like Milrow, and I'm big
Okay.
on Cam Ward.
Okay.
I'm also, as far as quarterbacks, I do like Tyler Shuck a good bit
Okay.
from Louisville.
Yes.
I'm not talent-wise. I like Shedeur Sanders pretty good, but I don't want the media circus and everything that comes with him. I feel like the Saints will definitely draft him coming up. Be on the lookout for that. Pick number 9.
He called it. He called it.
Yeah.
I actually just I just literally before we got on this pod did a mock draft that had Shedeur to New Orleans.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's coming. Jackson Dart, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Jackson Dart to make an opinion that much, really. So I'll hold off on him. But yeah, those are the quarterbacks that I like. Cam Ward, Milrow, and Tyler Shuck that I've watched that I like. Not high on Quinn Ewers at all.
Okay.
I don't think anyone is. Everyone hates Ewers.
Yeah.
He's
I really like. Yeah, and I really like Matthew Golden, but so many times I'm watching his highlights and I'm like, Ewers is really underthrowing him, overthrowing. He had to adjust to so many balls that were thrown by Ewers, and I'm not a huge fan of Quinn Ewers.
So just a couple quick takes on everything Joe just said. First of all, at this point, I'm disgusted by Cam Ward. He's a great runner with the football, but I am just so far out on his throwing mechanics.
I told you.
Also, as far as what Joe mentioned about Sanders and like the personality stuff, I saw a video this week of him Shedeur interacting with Cam Ward, and I was like, these guys are both just toxic personalities that I don't want in my locker room.
Yep.
And I would be terrified of my team having either of them. That said, I think Shedeur is a lot better of a quarterback than Cam Ward. I think they're both really, really toxic, and that's a flag for me. The thing on Shuck is I agree with Joe that I think Shuck is really talented, but I am terrified because he just hasn't played much. He gets hurt every single year.
Yep.
And let's see, he's played a total of, in the last 3 years, he played 12 games in 2024. He played 4 games in 2023 and 7 games in 2022. He's just an injury problem. So that's my fear there. I think you should watch more of my boy Jackson Dart, though, Joe. He doesn't play under center, and that's scary. But the guy is a beast with just putting the ball where it needs to go.
So let me ask you this, Foley. Since our last podcast, would you, if you were the Titans, would you take Cam Ward number 1?
If I were the Titans, absolutely not. No. I think they are going to. I feel pretty confident they're going to. I just don't think it's a good move.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure part of it is that I have a hard time watching lefties, but his release is
it's not good. Like I said, I mean, he played for 3 colleges, and nobody knew who he was until he got surrounded by a bunch of NFL draftees. So let me ask you this, and this will be for both of y'all. So you have on Tennessee right now the Mayonnaise Boy, and you can draft Ward. Who is better? In your thoughts?
Will Levis, in my opinion.
Okay, Joe.
Oh, Cam Ward.
Really?
I mean,
Okay.
he's so much more bigger and dangerous with his legs than Levis. I think Levis makes horrible decisions with the ball so far in the pros, anyway. I think Cam Ward's a better prospect, really. I mean, but you never know with these things. So.
Oh yeah. And on that, Foley, I agree with you. I would take Mayonnaise Boy over Cam Ward. What they should do is trade down, but I don't know right now if they have anybody that would want to trade up for Cam Ward.
Oh, I'm sure you can convince somebody. Here's the first thing I'll say about it. All right, set aside what I think of Cam Ward's talent level. I also just think he's not a good fit for the Tennessee offense in the same way Will Levis wasn't for what Callahan is doing. Will Levis was a great fit when Mike Vrabel was there, but then Callahan came in running basically the same offense he ran in Cincinnati, and Levis is just a pretty bad fit for that type of offense, but so is Cam Ward. Like, they need someone going after Sam Darnold, I think, would have made a lot more sense for them. They need just a pocket passer, short to intermediate throws. That's what they do. High volume of that. That's what they do. Honestly, Jackson Dart would be awesome in that. You're not going to take Jackson Dart 1 overall, but he would be awesome in that offense.
Okay, so
I agree there.
Okay, interesting. So Joe, what about running backs?
Yeah, I think it's a very deep class at running back. A lot of talent. As far as my favorite guy, I really like Omarion Hampton. I think Genty obviously is going to be the first one. I'm concerned a little bit about the mileage on Ashton Genty, but I do like him as a running back. I don't know that he's that far and away better than Omari and Hampton.
Agreed.
I like Hampton's burst and long speed a little bit better, I think. But I'm big on Scatterboo. I think he's a tough player. He just bounces around like a bowling ball a little bit. So, excuse me, a pinball. He's hard to get down on the ground. He's a tough runner.
You know who? And I'm sorry to cut you off, but the person I've been thinking about this, Foley, and I want your input on this also. I see Scatterboo. Now, like I said, I like Scatterboo, but I can see him being more of a Kyle Juszczyk in San Francisco kind of role.
Yeah. A lot of people have called him to fullback.
I don't know if I can see him, which I hope he has a good shot, but I don't know if they'll let that happen.
I mean, maybe they will. I'm sorry, Joe. Just to say, I think best case scenario, you could kind of comp him to Kyron Williams, this sort of really stocky guy who's still somewhat athletic. He's not as fast as I'd like him to be, but he's more athletic than some people give him credit for. He's a good receiver. I think he's more than just a fullback, which I am. You're right. You're not the only person saying that.
Oh man, I was hoping I was. I hadn't even paid no attention to it, but go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I do agree with that, but there's two more that I wanted to mention that I do like a lot. Caleb Johnson from Iowa, and also Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. He's a little on the small side, but boy, is he fast!
Man, he can. He's just like I said last time. He's just electric. He's fluid.
Yeah.
I said this on the last podcast, but just to repeat myself, I love Dylan Sampson, except, and he would probably be my number 2 in the back in this class behind Genty if it were any other offense he played in. But I mean, this was an offense where, every other offense in the NFL, running back has to go where it's 5 blockers against 6 defenders or 6 blockers against 7 defenders. He was doing 6 blockers against 5 defenders and 5 blockers against 4 defenders. Like the way that Tennessee offense runs, he just always had light boxes and never had to force. He had more blockers than there were defenders, so he never had to make anyone miss.
So let
it just drives me nuts.
So Foley, let me ask you this, and I'm not coming off in a bad way. Hey, did you watch a lot of Tennessee games?
Not live. I mean, I've gone back and watched. I mean, listen, this is no shade to Tennessee. This is how their offense runs. It's brilliant for college. I just always struggle, and this has been the case for a few years now, struggle to protect anyone coming out of that offense to the NFL because it just gets schemed into easy situations.
Well, where I was coming from was I watched a lot. He played a lot more in the box because once I'm so happy this has came to light about Nico Iamaleava, he wasn't good. So a lot of times they weren't a lot of times it was a stacked box, but because the quarterback's terrible, so they relied on Sampson a lot, and he pulled him out of the dump a lot of times with like a 80-yard touchdown. I think he.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I'm sorry, just to say that, if you watch the way those boxes are built though, and the way the blocking schemes work, is he was never affected if they did load the box. It just didn't matter. He still had more blockers than there were defenders on almost every single play. That's my only concern. Is you're just not going to get that in the NFL.
Okay. Let's see. Did we go over? We haven't went over wide receiver, Joe. So hit me with some wide receivers.
I'm
I don't like the Matthew Golden, whatever Golden. I don't like that, but you
Yeah.
like him, and that's fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys aren't going to like this guy either. But I don't know. Maybe. I'm high on Ted McMillan. I mean, I've watched him at Arizona I watched that game,
I like
the
him.
whole game when he played against New Mexico. Unbelievable.
Yes.
He had like 300 and something receiving yards, but now I don't know. He's a little bit inconsistent. His motor runs hot and cold to me. Like he went up against Northern Arizona the very next week and had like 1 or 2 catches for 8 yards.
Yeah,
and
he
like
laid
I
an
see
egg.
that, and I kind of worry about that. But boy, he can be dominating when he's on.
Would you
I
would you
really
say
like his talent.
who's your number one wide receiver? Is it Ted?
Yeah, Ted
I don't
McMillan, then Matthew Golden.
I don't like the second one. I
I'm
like
sorry,
the first
so
one.
Joe, hang on though. Joe, where are you putting Travis Hunter in this mix?
Oh my goodness.
He's all by himself, isn't
Yeah,
he? Yeah.
yeah, he's all by himself. I completely, yeah. But you know, he could. I guess he will play both sides of the ball. But yeah, obviously he's number one. But after Travis, I think it's Ted, and then it's Matthew Golden, and probably maybe Jalen Higgins from Iowa State. I don't
There
know.
you go.
No.
Yes, sir.
No.
I'm coming around to. I mean, look, I genuinely think Travis Hunter. If he didn't play corner at all, if he were just wide receiver, he might be the best wide receiver in this class. But if we do set him to the side, I think Jaden Higgins. I might be coming around to him being my wide receiver one.
No way.
Wow.
All right, so you got anybody else?
I think I'm sure I would have to have the names in front of me and be like, oh yeah, but no one's popping off in my mind right now. Those were the 3 that really stood out to me, or the 4 that really stood out.
Okay.
Here's
And
one. I want to throw out a wide receiver.
The Missouri guy. I'm sorry.
Luther Burden.
Luther Burden.
Yes, I'm high on him. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this is going to come off, let's see, out of left field. Where, if we keep, I don't know, what do we say, maybe 2 people? Or was it still just one that we're going to keep?
I'm not sure where we're at.
Two was being discussed, I believe. I'm
Okay.
not sure though.
So just out of left field, if you could keep 2 people, and it's not the first round, who would you keep off your team? And this is just, it may happen, may not happen. This is just what if.
What are we talking about? Where are we talking about?
For-
From last year's class?
Yeah, for next year, for like when we make this our draft, our league, a keeper league. Does that make sense?
Yes. You want me to go first?
Sure, you're the guest.
I think Baker for sure, and probably Kyron Williams.
Okay.
I'm thinking, did I have anybody better than that? There's some older guys that I definitely would be like very leery of keeping. I don't think I would want Devontae or Keenan Allen for sure.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, and I know Foley's not sitting here. I'm sitting here looking at it. What about
I got mine roster.
what about Drake May over Baker?
You can't, because Drake May is mine, and that's who I'm keeping.
Right.
Oh, see, my bad. My
right,
bad.
right.
I'm just looking at the draft. My bad. That's who you would keep, Foley?
That's
Absolutely, yeah, that's the no-brainer for me. The question is, like, if I had a second, who it would be? Maybe Tyrone Tracy, probably Tyrone Tracy, but yeah, Drake May is my no-brainer keeper.
Interesting.
I think it would have to be Baker and Kyron for me.
Okay. So, Foley, yours would be Drake
Who's
May.
Yeah, Drake May and probably Tyrone Tracy. I mean, I would have to give the second one more thought as we get closer to draft time. But, yeah, Tracy's probably who it would be. That's a super late pick for a starting running back. Yeah, those are my two. I feel pretty good about. As much as I'd like to say like Josh Allen, there's no value in keeping Josh Allen
Interesting. Well,
for a
let's
first
see.
round pick.
Well, yeah, you couldn't keep. I think we were talking. We wasn't going to be able to keep the first round.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, Drake May. I mean, I forget what round he went, but yeah, please give him to me. Same for Tracy. Those are two
Interesting.
guys that- Yeah.
See, I think I would go Jamar Chase, and man, it'd either be Chase Brown or Jordan Addison or somebody like that. I'm like you. I don't
Listen.
know. I don't know about the second one.
Can I spit some free game? I hate to even do this. I hate to give this advice because I don't want our league mates to be as sharp as this. But I've never done a keep. This is my first time doing keeper league, so forgive me for just acting like an expert on something I've never done. But I've watched keeper leagues for a long time. I think it's really, really simple who you pick. What is the biggest discrepancy between where you would be able to keep them and what round they are projected to go in this draft? That's the person you want to keep. Drake May in a Superflex league, he's probably going to go around round 8 maybe? And
yeah.
I'm going to get him in round 18, 17, whatever it is? Absolutely. Let's keep that. So Jamar Chase, he's going to be a first round pick this year, and you're going to keep him in the second?
Yeah.
First or second? So, yeah, in the second round. So, I mean, maybe, but that's only a one-round value. Now, it's, probably an early first-round pick, so maybe. But I just don't see that it's a huge value.
Well, here's the thing. We got to figure out, what the penalty is for keeping people and things like that. Like, also we could, throw out there like a taxi squad where, like, at the end you could throw like 3 people. I don't know, just things we as a league we got to figure out, and the more you guys think about it, the better off it is. Instead of
I can't wait. I just cannot wait to hear James and Tony freaking out in the chat when they hear of you saying taxi squad.
I mean, I'm not saying anything for definite. I'm just throwing stuff out there and see if anybody likes it. You know what I mean? I think that's what the issue is with this league, is more of a we're old and stuck in our ways and we don't want to do anything different. Whereas me, I just want to make it as fun as possible. So, which I mean, I'm happy with where we're at. I'm not saying that. I'm just throwing it out there. I just want everybody to kind of get on board and think what they want instead of just going, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm sorry to go back to something we were doing before, but when we were talking about rookies, there was one name I wanted to throw at you two to see what you think, because this was not when we talked rookies on the last podcast. You're right. This was a name that didn't come up, and he's a confusing guy, and I just wanted to see what you two think about him. That is Tez Johnson.
Okay, so I have Tez on my my other league that we draft them when they're freshmen and everything. I love Tez Johnson, but I think he's too small. That's my only thing about him. But saying that, what's his name? Alabama went to Philadelphia. Yes, I would say he's similar to him. And if he can do it, I don't see why Tez can't do it. But saying that, I do love Tez Johnson. I don't know where you would take him at, but I do love him.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, Tez Johnson, Oregon wide receiver, is 5'10", 165 pounds.
And the 165 pounds is generous. He ate a big lunch.
That's true. Joe, what are your thoughts?
Did you watch, Joe? Did you watch a lot of Oregon football?
I have not watched a lot of Oregon football, but immediately when you said that, I know who you're talking about. But 165 pounds right off the bat, I'm like, there's no way, he's so skinny. He's so, I don't know.
Oh,
but talent-wise, he's very fast. But I don't know enough about him to really give an opinion, other than that's very small.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll just
Yeah.
say, like, he's interesting to me. If you watch him play, he just seems like he's an excellent wide receiver. I think the Devontae Smith comp is a pretty good one. I mean, you could also, of course, say Tank Dell, who's even smaller than Smith, but Des Johnson is smaller than either of those guys. So yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the large catch radius. He's going to struggle against press, all that stuff. At the same time, though, he's just really, really good. He's really agile after the catch. He's really, really quick. His draft was kind of all over the place. Like, he was so good at some drills and so terrible at others. He's really confusing. I don't know what I think of him. Devontae Smith was one that confused me. I was really, really high on Tank Dell. I was maybe the highest of anyone in America on Tank Dell. I was unsure about Devontae Smith, and I'm really unsure about Des Johnson.
That's fair, I think. Well, okay, so I have a question for both of y'all. So this year, and I know we're going to have people that just blow up, but like I'm sitting here looking with I'll throw out some names: Darnell Mooney, Gabe Davis, Marvin Mims Jr., Quentin Johnston, Marquise Brown, Curtis Samuel,
Ray McLeod.
No. Yes, okay. Are we going? Is this going to be the year that these guys, these lower tier guys, step up to be better than what Ray did last year? Will it be them, or will it be some of the rookies that come into the league? Do y'all understand the question? Like, where, like, because I guess it always comes up. Are you going to trust these older veterans as opposed to the new rookies?
I think it just depends. I mean, listen, as far as on draft day, I think Joe knows this because he copied my strategy.
Oh,
I
Lord.
do like going after rookies because they tend to get undervalued relative to what the situation they're going in is. Like, you can just kind of get a steal, and they probably should have gone 2 rounds higher than they end up going. That said, we talked about this last time, Uriah. I think these wide receivers are a lot of wide receiver 2s, although everyone you just mentioned is a wide receiver 2 or 3. I'm never going to bet on Quentin Johnston to develop. I think there's probably a couple that at this point you can say, hey, they might have a breakout, but I don't know. It's kind of a rough situation. A lot of it, of course, just depends on what rookie goes where.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm just sitting here looking at like where we drafted people, like round 10. Like all these wide receivers, like I don't see one that just broke out. The only one that I guess you could say was okay was Xavier Worthy. But yeah, and even that wasn't. I mean that. Ugh. So I mean it's just
late in the season he was pretty good. I forgot about him. Yeah, he was definitely somebody that helped me a lot late in the season.
Yeah,
I would probably keep him over Kyron Williams in the keeper league. Thinking about it,
okay.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
I would kind of personally, I'm still inclined to bet on Xavier Legette. Between a year or 2 breakout, he was one of my favorite receivers in last year's draft class. So I might just be biased there. He was a little disappointing last year, but I would be inclined to bet on him breaking out versus any wide receiver that Carolina drafted, for instance.
Okay, that's interesting. I was just wondering. Let's see. What else you got there, Foley? You got anything?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, you can give me names. If you want to do like this rookie versus this guy who might break out, I can tell you which way I'd go.
Okay, I see one that was drafted in round 13. That was Brian Thomas Jr. That'd be a good one to keep.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I mean, Brian Thomas is. I was wrong on him. I've admitted this many times. I wanted to stay away from him because of that LSU offense and the way he only ran hitches and goes. And I was like, I just don't know if he can run a full route tree. He can, and he was the best wide receiver in that draft class so far. He was better than Malik Neighbors even. So yeah, I don't know whoever's got him. I can't even remember who's got him, but keep him for sure.
That'd be Matt.
Oh yeah, Matt. You're welcome.
Yeah,
And,
I was just gonna say Matt / Foley. No, you know what? I think we need to wait on that because, like you said, Foley. I think a lot of the expectations is going to come down to where they go. You know what I mean?
that's right. That's right.
Let's see, Joe. You got anything you want to throw out there for the league listeners of the
I-
league?
Well, I would like to go back to the draft for a second.
Okay.
Uh, just for a second. I got three more names I want to throw out there at the receiver position
Okay. Go
that
ahead.
I really like. I'm really high on. One of them is Xavier Restrepo from Miami. I think he's going to be a really good slot receiver.
Interesting.
I like him a lot. I like Pat Bryant from Illinois. That's another receiver.
Oh, that's a deep.
And
that's
I'm
a deep one.
also, yeah, it is. And I'm also high on Savion Williams from TCU. Big guy,
like
kind of
that.
similar to Quentin Johnston.
Did you?
But,
Hang on. Did you?
maybe.
Did you hear that, Foley? Who'd he say? The number
Savion
one.
Williams,
The number one receiver for TCU.
which is not true. I don't consider him the best wide receiver in that.
I know you don't.
That's Jack Bench.
He's just so you know, Joe. That's my number 2 wide receiver.
Savion?
Yes,
Nice.
he's a stud.
Nice.
So, and I know I'm
Yeah.
breaking. I know I'm breaking. I'm just going by like what I saw, and he.
Yeah, this the same way I am. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why whenever I do these drafts, is I go by like what I see. I don't go by metrics and all this
Right.
stuff. If you were good in high school and college, there's a good chance you're going to be pretty good in the NFL. I'm not saying great, but you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with that.
Let's see.
He's Cordero Patterson.
You keep going.
Savion
with-
Williams is Cordero Patterson.
Look, I knew you was going to keep going to that. Anyway, so let's go on
I
down.
like Cordero Patterson.
I know you do. I'm just joking with you. So let's do this. We'll move on into the NFC East on their pickups. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
So for the NFC East, we'll start with Dallas. Dallas signed Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. Is this going to matter come after the draft?
No. They still need a running back. I
Yes.
think Devontae is just a shell of what he was before that knee injury. I thought maybe this year he'd be able to bounce back, get full strength. He didn't, and if it hasn't happened by now, I think it's just not going to happen. He's not as explosive as he used to be. And I mean, is he better than Rico Dowdle? Probably, but
By how much?
I still don't feel good about it. And they don't have another wide receiver. That's the other thing. Like Dallas desperately needs to draft a running back and a wide receiver.
Yeah, but they also need offensive linemen. They need defensive linemen. It's just a mess down there. Oh, Jerry Jones doing his very best at it.
Which is not very good.
Absolutely. Giants. They picked up Darius Slayton and the Smith Marset. Does these even matter?
They did more than that. They got a couple quarterbacks. That's the big
Yeah.
thing here.
Oh well, I'm sorry. I didn't include the former Husk of themselves. Yeah, y'all know who I'm talking about. James.
Jameis.
Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson.
Although let me say, I do enjoy a Jameis TikTok. I will say that. That's the only thing he's got going for him.
It's interesting. Neither of their contracts for Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston preclude New York from taking a quarterback at 3, but I think it signals that they're preparing to not take a quarterback at 3. They'll take Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, whoever's there. And so that does make it interesting. It's probably going to be Russell Wilson as the starter, unless they just really do love Shedeur Sanders, but I'm not sure that they do. It's probably going to be Russell Wilson as the starter and Jameis as the backup. And, I just wish they hadn't signed Russ because Jameis is as the starter. I'd be taking Malik Neighbors in the first round.
Yeah, I can see that. So let me ask y'all this, both of you. Do you, if you were the general manager, like you just got plopped in there today, do you draft a quarterback or do you put your job into Russell Wilson, Jameis Williams?
There's two ways to go about this.
Now, okay, let me
Am-
let me say this before I say something. So you got a free year. You're doing this coaching for free. If you have a winning season, you get like a $40 million contract, guaranteed money up front. Are you drafting or are you staying the course with one of those two?
Staying the
Oh, I'm
course.
thinking- Yeah, I'm sticking with Russell. Russell Wilson's going to give me a better chance to win this year
Mhm.
than anyone else, than Shador, than Jackson Dart, whoever it is, whoever you've got as the best quarterback available at that spot. Russell Wilson and James Winston are going to give me a better chance to win.
Okay.
Yeah, and especially when you can take that pick and add another receiver. Yeah.
Yeah, give me Travis Hunter as a wide receiver
Yeah.
alongside Malik Neighbors, and he can sub in at corner.
That'd
I'm
be
all
such a
for
good
that.
combination. Okay, so
Yeah.
the Eagles, they got AJ Dillon. How we feel about that?
Nah, nothing.
I mean, look, they're the defending champs. I think they did some stuff around their defense, their defensive line. They made some signings, but they're the defending champ, and there's not any glaring needs because they could use another wide receiver as a great three, and that might be what they end up drafting. But it's kind of nitpicking to say any needs that they have.
All right.
Wow.
The Commanders are interesting. Debo and Zach
yeah.
Ertz.
Oh yeah, I think they've had the best free agency additions of all the NFC East. Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how Cliff Kingsbury, take a drink, Uriah. I mentioned a coordinator. I'll be interested to see how Cliff Kingsbury uses Debo. If he can get Debo into the backfield, that could be interesting. But I do think Debo is pretty much cooked. I do not think he's what he was a couple of years ago.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I'm not super excited by it, with the exception of
But-
Kingsbury is a creative coordinator and could maybe find a good way to use him.
And let
I
me
think
just
they need
add
running
too.
backs.
Let me just add too that they also added the stud left tackle, right? And Laramie Tunsil. They traded for him, right?
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
And he's really good. So they've made some moves this offseason.
All right.
Sure. Yeah, I think they've had a good offseason. I think they still need. I don't love Brian Robinson Jr. as a number one running back. Austin Eckler is old at this point. I would love to see them, and I imagine they will draft a back, and they could use either type. Like they could use a Scatterbo to be an early down back, or they could take something somewhat a little more dynamic to take some stuff off of Eckler's plate. They could go either way or both. Heck, just take both the Ohio State running backs, honestly. Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, and you've got younger versions of Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler.
Just those two
Right.
need to go to the pasture. Moving on to the north. I really don't even have anything to say. The Bears got Duvernay. Anybody else?
Well, the stuff they did on the offensive line is noteworthy.
Yeah.
They did. I think the Bears have won free agency. Honestly, I get what Joe's saying about Washington, but I think just the way, what's his name? Now I'm blanking on the new head coach's name. That was the Lions. Ben Johnson. The way Ben Johnson has come in and just reworked that offensive line to where it now looks like on paper one of the best in the league. Certainly the interior, and that works perfectly for Ben Johnson's style of football. It's where I want to see Ashton Stinty now, just because of that. So that's the story, and whatever running back they end up with, maybe it's Omar Hampton if Jinty goes to Vegas, but it's going to be really exciting, and I think it gives Caleb a really good chance to do something in the next year.
Okay, so we all make a mental note. Foley is going to draft Caleb Williams in the 4th round. So, what about you, Joe? Anything on the Bears?
Oh yeah, I just want to clarify. I said that the Commanders had the best in the NFC East best offseason.
okay.
But yeah, the Bears are right there with them as far as in all of the NFC. I think they've had a great offseason, and yeah, they got Jonah Jackson and what was the other guard that they got?
Joe
Anybody
Thuney.
can help me? Yeah, Joe
Joe Thuney.
Tooney, right. Yeah, he's really good. And I also think they picked up a center. But
Yeah,
I'm
they
just
did.
drawing a blank right now on who that is. But
Was it the
Yeah.
center from Atlanta? Is that right?
yeah. Dahlman. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, Drew Dahlman. Yeah. Yeah, he's a good player. They've made a big additions on that offensive line. I think they'll be much better.
All right, moving on to
I mean-
I don't even want to talk about the lines in the Packers. I mean, it's Tim Patrick and McCole Hardman. That's nothing, right?
Yeah, it hasn't been exciting.
All right, now this is my favorite for the North, the Vikings. They Jordan Mason.
Yes.
I think that's going to be good.
This is another team that I really love their off season. And again, I don't have everything in front of me, but they made more moves than Jordan Mason.
Yeah. I'm just talking about like
yeah. They really had a good off season. Yeah, and I think they'll be exciting to watch with McCarthy at quarterback. I'm interested to see how that works out.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. McCarthy's the big mystery box right now.
absolutely. So
But he's going into a good situation with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison.
once again, see Sam Darnold. So
Yeah, exactly.
NFC South Falcons, they didn't get anybody, did they? I may be missing somebody,
They
but
just lost a bunch of players.
yes, that's one. Yeah, and they're going to somehow trade Kirk Cousins, I'm sure.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean,
I think they're trying to
still
keep
got Ray
it.
McLeod.
All right, go ahead. We'll go Joe first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're trying to force Kirk Cousins to stay. He asked for a trade, but they would not grant him that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't keep up with. I try to steer clear of all things Falcons. So
So
I
Foley,
don't know. I don't really have.
what'd you say, Foley?
I said the good news is they still have Ray McLeod.
Oh my lord.
But I am joking, to be clear. I don't think highly of Ray McLeod. I just thought he was in a good situation last year. So yeah, I mean they need wide receiver help beyond Drake London, and especially in that slot role that is so valuable. Their offensive line now needs help, like we mentioned, Drew Dahlman went to Chicago. That's a big blow for them. And all this is happening at the same time. They still desperately need help along the defensive line, especially on the edge rushing. So there's just a whole lot of holes for them to fill in the draft, and I'm not sure that they're going to be able to fill them all. And then you've got a quarterback that I wasn't big on in the first place.
Okay,
And,
so let me say this, and I said I wasn't going to do it, but I just have to right now. Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave. Would you take Travis Hunter over any of those three?
Yes.
Which ones?
Yes.
All of them?
I would take Travis Hunter over all of them. Yes.
Foley?
I think it depends on how we're asking the question. Are we asking the question Travis Hunter as the whole player or Travis Hunter as just a wide receiver?
Just the wide receiver.
I would still take.
I would take. I think I would take London over him, and maybe Garrett Wilson over him. It's kind of a push there. I like Travis Hunter a lot as a wide receiver. I do not think he is a wide receiver one. I don't think he's an X. He's a great Z. He's like a T Higgins.
Okay. So
very, very good wide receiver.
So let's take Travis Hunter out. Let's say, what's his name? Tex McMillan over any of those three.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take
Uh,
Go ahead. What'd you say, Foley?
I'll take London over Ted. I'll take Wilson over Ted. The only reason I'm not taking Olave over Ted is because of all the concussions.
Okay, Joe.
Maybe London. I don't know. I think I would just. I really want to see what Ted McMillan has got, and I'm very high on him. But maybe Drake London, I guess.
Okay.
Not the other two though. I wouldn't take Chris Olave over Foley's boy McLeod at this point. He is so.
Nice.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I like he's. First of all, he's not that great, and he's very finesse, and he's soft, in my opinion. Now that's I'm not blaming his concussions or anything. I feel bad for him on that end, but he just can't absorb a hit. It just seems to rock him when he gets hit. I don't understand.
Yeah, listen, I think Olave is a great wide receiver, but the concussions have become too much. I'm pretty much out on him. I will just say, as a Patriots fan, there are rumors swirling that the Patriots are going to trade for him for like a 4th-round pick or something. I mean, I guess for a 4th, it's fine, but the concussions are too much. But I do think he's a great player, and if it weren't for what we saw this year, I would still have him as a high-end player. I'd take him over Ted in a heartbeat, and not for the concussions.
All right. So
He can never dominate a game like Ted can possibly do it, though. I don't think.
I agree.
He's not a dominating receiver.
I agree with that. He's just a number 2 at best.
That said, I think the Falcons. Sorry, just to take this back to the Falcons. I think that the Falcons really need to go with an edge rusher in the 1st round, but they've got to find a wide receiver in the 2nd round. And if Luther Burden slips, I don't think he would slip this far.
He will.
But if Luther Burden could slip to the mid-2nd round, that'd be awesome. That'd be like I think he would be great. And even as I'm saying it out loud, as much as I think they do need to take an edge rusher in the 1st round, Luther Burden in the 1st for Atlanta, I'd like to see him in the slot role in Ray McLeod's old role.
Well,
I think he'd be really, really good in that.
Well, I think this is. I don't know how many people are into the draft, but I think the 1st round is going to be good. I think the 2nd and 3rd round are going to be the more funner rounds because there are going to be some big names that we all know who did good on Saturdays that will be drafted in the 2nd and 3rd round.
Yep.
I completely agree.
So moving on, we'll go to the Panthers. All they got was Rico. Uncle Rico. Does this matter?
That's a good move.
Yeah, Rico Dowdle. That's right. Yeah.
I think it's a good move.
All right, good move. What about you?
I don't have strong takes.
All right, I don't either.
Go ahead.
It's just a guy. I think Tony will be happy. Question mark. Wasn't he the Rico Dowdle guy?
That's true. He was. But I mean, Rico is going to be behind Chuba Hubbard. Chuba's still the guy in that backfield. And then they've got Jonathan. What's his name?
Brooks.
Brooks, who, if he can ever get healthy, my God.
I think he's better than Rico if he's healthy. So.
Agreed.
And the poor old Saints. What are we thinking? Dante Pettis. Come on. Really? What's he going to do? Return kicks?
Who did they added Brandon Cooks too, by the way, who's old and he's not any good really that much anymore, but at least he's better than Dante Pettis, I guess.
He is. I guess I didn't think about that. Yes, you're right. Moving on, the Bucks. Chris Godwin, Sterling Shepard. Anything?
The same as last year.
I know. That was their big signings.
Yeah.
The question's just going to be, I don't even know who they replaced, who they brought in as coordinator now.
Drink.
But that's going to be the question. It's Baker. Poor Baker continuing to go through this with a new offensive coordinator every single freaking year. He has not had in his entire career the same offensive coordinator back-to-back years, and some years has had multiple within a single season. And that trend continues. So that's just always going to be the question with him is can he keep doing it with another coordinator now? But as far as the personnel goes, it's running it back from last year. You couldn't ask for that offense to have been any better.
All right. Moving to the NFC West. Now this is a crazy division. Cardinals. Lord, they need so much, and they get Zay Jones. What? Anything? They need some defensive help.
Now,
Bad.
they need a ton of defensive help, and the question is Marvin Harrison Jr. going to take a step forward next year?
No.
Is Michael Wilson going to take a step forward next year? And
No.
if they do, then great. I think they, regardless, needed a better slot receiver than what they've got in Greg George or Zay Jones. But, yeah.
They need a new
question
quarterback.
is gonna be this.
Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
Moving on, the Rams. Devontae Adams. That's a good pickup.
It's a good move. Good move.
Let's talk about an upgrade from the corpse of Cooper Kupp.
Hey, there's only one
who's
corpse in the
still very good.
There's only one corpse in the NFL, and we all know DeAndre.
He's in Baltimore now. I know. But, I mean, come on. Cooper Kupp is not what he used to be, and now they've got Devontae. I love it. I think Devontae is a great fit for the Rams.
Hey, whatever
one of
you
those
just
where-
whatever you just did on your microphone completely helped.
I don't know what I did.
Much better, isn't it,
Yeah.
Joe?
Maybe, yeah, I think maybe he bumped his earphones or something. Maybe, you know how sometimes when that earphone's not connected all the way, like it won't be a good connection, but something happened, yeah.
Okay, well, that's exciting. So now I can talk more. Yes, I think the Rams are once again going to be a Super Bowl contender just because it's such a well-run team. Even if Matthew Stafford is 100 years old. Somebody correct me. Well, no, I was going to say if Rodgers retires, that Stafford would be the oldest starter in the league, but Joe
Yeah, I
Flacco's
was
out
gonna
there.
say,
so
yeah.
never mind that. But no, I think that Devontae is a great fit, and the only real question for the Rams offense is who is the eventual successor to Stafford? Because every year the question is he
Will he
going to
retire?
retire, or are the Rams just going to move on?
All right, moving on. 49ers. They pretty much dismantled their team this year, right?
Right.
Do you
I mean, they got old dude who shot himself. That it was always supposed to replace, or not shot himself. Excuse me, I didn't mean to say that. Who got shot?
Ricky?
Yeah, Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was always supposed to eventually step into the Debo role. He's not necessarily as dynamic as Debo, but he's fine. The question is, can Ayuk bounce back from injury? Can McCaffrey bounce back from injury?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a bunch of question marks on that team by far.
For sure. And the offensive line
yeah.
needs help.
Yeah, I think they need everybody, honestly, the way it's shaping out. Moving on to the last team, the Seahawks. They did pretty well. Not 100% on Sam Darnold, but they did get Cooper Kupp, and I think that is better, question mark, than Metcalf. I know I'm gonna get pushed back on with Foley, but go ahead, Foley.
I mean, I'll let Joe do most of the talking because I've gone on this rant before, but I think Seattle's had a terrible offseason, starting with firing their offensive coordinator, the guy who was he had previously been coordinator for Washington, and now I'm blanking on his name, Ryan Grubbs. I didn't think it made any sense to fire him. They did. Then they got rid of Geno for what is at best a lateral move and potentially a downgrade with Darnold. And then they got rid of DK and replaced him with Cooper Kupp. That is, I've always been a DK hater. He is so much better than the current version of Cooper Kupp. It's unreal to me what they have done. This is just a bunch of self-inflicted injuries, shooting themselves in the foot, going full Dante Stallworth on themselves, and it's disgusting to me.
I don't know if you could tell, Joe, but I kind of threw that in there for a purpose. I just wanted to hear him rant about the Seahawks. But go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of disagree there a little bit. For one thing, I know that they got rid of Grubbs because they want to run the football, and he was just not running the ball enough.
Also, drink. Go ahead. Sorry.
Say that?
I said drink,
Oh.
but go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, if there's one thing Clint Kubiak is going to do, who's their new offense coordinator, he's going to run the football. And I don't know. I think Darnold, and I don't think it's that much of a downgrade from Geno Smith. I mean, Geno Smith isn't probably going to take them to a Super Bowl or anything, and that's probably what Sam Darnold, about the same talent level, I think, about the same consistency. But I do think they're going to run the ball more. And as far as Cooper Kupp, yeah, he's pretty much toast. I think that's probably a downgrade from DK, but I also think like DK was bad for the locker room, and he starts fights all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've read about him getting involved in fights and stuff in practice, and he just doesn't seem like he goes all out to me. He's always just like, when he wants to play, he's good. When he doesn't, he's just
Yes, you said something about one of the draftees about motor on, motor off, and I would consider DK in that. When he's on, he will chase that guy down 90 yards and make a fumble, but when he's off, he's going to sit there and wave his hand.
Right.
Totally
Right.
agree.
Yeah.
And he catches with his chest. That's always been my problem with him. But again, as much as I complain about DK, he's still so much better than Cooper Kupp right now. It's not a small difference. It's a huge difference.
That does bring me to this point. I think that DK will definitely have an impact in Pittsburgh, and I think maybe Tomlin will be good for him.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
for sure. Yeah, we talked about that on the last podcast. It's an interesting pairing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seattle, I'm disgusted by it all. I like Clint Kubiak. I think he'll be fine, but I get the complaints about not running the ball enough last year. But they did great on offense. It's hard to complain with what they did on offense. They didn't run the ball a ton, but they had tons of success. So I just don't see the logic. They just tore it all down, and their offensive line sucks, and they're going to try to run the ball with a bad offensive line.
Foley loves the Seahawks.
I understand that. I just don't think it's quite as bad, maybe, as what you're saying. But it is what it is.
All right. We got anything else y'all wanted to talk about, or I think that's about it. I know. I do want to say a special shout out to Evan. Miss you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where did he go? Where did you go? I missed you so. It seems like it's been forever since you've been gone.
That seems like a song. Anyway.
Yeah. I tried my best to fill his shoes today, but
You did well.
We're glad to have the defending champ on here.
Always happy to be a winner.
Thank you.
All
Yeah,
right.
I appreciate that.
Well, this is your host Uriah signing off, saying goodbye. Foley,
Goodbye. I love you.
Joe.
Later, everybody.